Did you know that you can use your Cricut Explorers or Cricut Makers to cut wood and wood veneer? I am going to be using my Cricut Maker 3 today to show you how. Hi loves, it's Lacey and welcome to our space. So for our first project, we're going to start out with some wood veneer from Cricut. It is in the color walnut, and they also have it in a lighter color that is maple, as seen here on the front of this. And with this pack, you get 2 sheets of wood veneer. I also have this thrifted canvas that I have that has an extra wood piece in the back, so we're going to be utilizing that. I also have this beautiful fabric that's for fall that came from Joann's. I have quite a bit of this, so we're going to cut a piece to cover the canvas. I also thought I might use these wood beads, but I decided against it in the end, and you'll see what I do instead. I also have a Cricut's strong grip mat. In order to cut wood veneer, you're going to need the strong grip mat. So first of all, I decided to take my canvas and cover it with a piece of that beautiful fabric. I cut the fabric to be about 1.5 inches wider than the canvas so I could wrap it all the way around. And I am using my Ryobi staple gun, it's the Crown staple gun, to put 2 staples in each one of these spots that I'm going to fold it over. And I'm just kind of following the line of the plaid. And so I'm going to quickly do that all the way around, starting on one side and then going to the opposite side to staple, and then putting 2 staples in the same spot, one on top of each other, just to ensure that it is nice and taut and it stays in place. Now once I get to the corners, you have several options. You can just fold the corners in and then lay them on top of each other like this and put a couple staples there. This is what that corner will look like. However, I want it a little bit neater, so I'm going to fold my corners in on one side and then bend them over straight to the edge. Now, when it's really bulky fabric in the corner, it doesn't want to lay down very well. I'm going to take my scissors and just cut off about 1/2 inch in and down the side, so I end up with a rectangular little piece that I take out of it so it's not so bulky underneath. And then I refold that. In any spot where it seems to be coming up underneath, you can add a drop or 2 of hot glue to help hold them down. And so I'm going to do that with my Ryobi hot glue gun here to make sure that corner stays intact and doesn't come apart. And then I'm going to fold it down straight across and put 2 staples into that corner. It's quite simple. You can just fold it like a present, or you can fold it like this, which is kind of how a fitted bed sheet would go. And I put 1 staple on top of each. And then I'm going to add a little bit more hot glue to ensure that it stays down. I'm going to do this on all 4 of my corners because I want it to be really nice and neat. And if I were going to give this to someone, once I got all of these corners folded, I would also include, with a little hot glue, a piece of felt across the back so you couldn't see all the staples. However, it's for me, so I'm keeping it that way. So next, I am going to be loading my wood veneer sheet. It's a 12 by 12 sheet onto my strong grip mat, and I'm using a brayer from Cricut to make sure it adheres really well. Since it's wood, it might have the tendency to move around, so I'm also going to be adding some painter's tape all the way around. I suggest you do this. You can use painter's tape in the blue, or like frog tape or masking tape. Don't use anything super strong like duct tape because it could damage your product. Then I'm going to make sure I cut off all the edges of that overlap so it doesn't mess with my design. Then we're with Cricut Design Space here, and I decided I want to make an image of a pumpkin. So I hit images, typed in pumpkin, and it showed me all of these. Now, if you don't have Cricut access, they do have some free ones. You can click free over in the side and we'll show you which ones you can use there. But you could also upload your own image, and that's what I did here. I had this image from a long time ago and I just uploaded it, and here I am making it the size that I like for this project. I'm going to have it just about 9 inches wide, and it's going to be a little over 9 inches long for. So the next, here you can see I'm adding text that I want to go next to my Cricut, and in order to make your text stacked up like that, I hit the letter and then hit the enter key and then my next letter all the way down until I spell out the word that I like. And then I'm going to go into the fonts and check to see, because I want to change the font on this. The normal one is the Cricut Sans font, but I wanted Cooper Black, so I actually wrote it up in the search engine and it came up, and I am now resizing this to make sure it fits exactly how I want it. Then once I get it resized and fitting next to my pumpkin like I like, I'm going to put a box around the entire thing to ensure that it stays just like this when it's cutting. And I'm going to hit the word attach. And you'll see that it's attached by the side where both of the items that I'm doing are in gray. After that, we're going to hit make it, and it is going to tell us what to do next. It's going to give us a preview, and I'm going to say, yes, I'm cutting this out on a mat. And then it's going to give me prompts of what to do with my machine. It's also going to ask me what material I'm using for this, and I'm going to pick wood veneer. So for wood veneer, it tells me I have to change out the blade on my machine. The blade that we're going to be using is the deep cut blade, and it's in this black housing, and so I'm going to install this and take out my fine cut blade out of it. Then I press play on it after I load my mat, and it just cuts with such ease. I absolutely love how this is. I did speed up this footage so you guys can see how it is cutting it, but it cuts it out with perfection. Nothing moved. So then after I unload my mat, I'm going to remove all of my little painter's tape, and if it gets on your project, don't worry, it comes off really easy. And then I am going to flip my mat over and just run my hand over what is supposed to be the excess wood that we would not need. However, because how this project is, I'm using what would be the excess wood to remove away from the project as my project for this. With this wood veneer, I'm going to only cut this one piece, and I'm going to get 3 actual DIYs out of it. That is the beauty of this project. I was so excited that I was getting 3 DIYs. As you can see, I used hot glue and I put the wood down on my fabric, and now I'm taking a pick from Hobby Lobby that I got earlier. It's really nice fall colors. I took it apart because I wanted it to lay a certain way, and it was too bulky in full and had a long stem on it. So I just took the stem off, and I am placing each one of the individual pieces down in order to make it fit around this corner of the pumpkin the way that I like. You can decorate yours any kind of way you like if you decide to make this project. I'm even including some of these green leaves that I used in different projects that also came from Hobby Lobby in a garland. I do believe it's called the red and green ivory maple garden, and I absolutely love how they look with this project. I put 2 or 3 of them in, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of this eucalyptus that also came from Hobby Lobby, and it has some variegated colors on it, and then this project is done. I love how this turned out, and I think it'd be perfect to hang on a wall or lean up against one like I have here. Now on to project number 2. We're going to be using this Dollar Tree wood round and these 4 ribbons. A couple of them are from Dollar Tree and the rest are from Michael's, I do believe. I am then going to measure my transfer tape from Cricut, and I'm going to be utilizing only the pumpkin here for this next DIY. So I take my scraper tool and I make sure I adhere it down to my transfer tape, and I'm using my spatula here to help it get started to stay onto the transfer tape. It worked out really easy for me here. This footage is sped up just a little. Then I just use my hand to make sure that it stays down, and voila, it is on the transfer tape perfectly. Then I'm going to want to transfer it onto my wood round, but since it's not sticky or anything on the back, I need some way to have it stick. That's why I'm putting hot glue. I'm using Gorilla Hot Glue with my high heat glue gun. And you have to work pretty quickly here so your hot glue doesn't dry. If you are using a low heat glue gun, I suggest you add something like E6000 to the back. Or you could maybe do this with a glue stick too. Now I'm just holding it as I push down and to make sure it doesn't move, and I did have to glue down that little piece at the top extra. Just take your time and it should work out fine. Next, we're going to be making my signature bow to go with this. It is called, by me, the Whimsical Chaotic Mess Bow. And so what I do is I fold over my first ribbon, which is normally my more patterned ribbon, and then on top of that I fold over my next widest ribbon, and then I go down in size of ribbon. So I have two really narrow ones, so I'm going to set those next to each other. It doesn't make a difference if you put them on top of each other or next to each other. I just thought it would be easier to kind of put them next to each other. And then I'm going to fold all of them over on each other up probably about 5 times, because we all know how extra I am, and I always want my bows to be really full, really big, and normally I kind of make them too big for the project, but I'm never mad at it because I'm extra, and my bows sometimes have me extra. And so today we're gonna have an extra bow because I just love this ribbon and I love this project. So then once I get it all together, I'm going to cut into the side just a little bit, just into the wire that's in those larger ribbons, and I'm gonna do it not exactly across from each other, a little bit diagonal, and then wrap them with some floral wire. This is just some beige floral wire that I ended up getting on clearance at Michael's. They have it right now. And then I'm going to tie it on the back. I'm going to squeeze the ribbon together and kind of fold it in the front, and then tie this ribbon or this wire around the ribbon several times to make sure it's nice and tight. And make sure you don't cut all the way through your ribbons, just make sure that it's tight. Then we are going to cut all the way through all of the edges of this, all of the loops that we created by folding it over 4 or 5 times, and then it's going to look like this on both sides. Make sure you cut all the loops open so you just have straight pieces of ribbon. Then you're going to grab each individual one, pull it out, and twist it. It doesn't make a difference which way you twist it. You're just going to pull them out and twist it. I'm twisting all of my larger pieces because my smaller pieces are going to move with the larger pieces. I always like my ribbons and my bows and stuff to consist of at least 3 ribbons. And so here I have 4 because I have smaller ones. And once you're done with that, they'll just kind of be a mess, looking kind of chaotic all over. That's why I call it my Whimsical Chaotic Mess Bow. So I always leave one long tail, especially on like my fancier ribbon, so then I can establish where I want the bottom to be. So wherever that sticks out from, we're going to push that ribbon down and make that the bottom. That gives you a way to see where the top of your bow is going to be. Then we're going to dovetail all of the larger pieces of ribbon, cutting them into a V, and then the smaller ones I'm just going to cut over to the side like this. After I do that, I'm going to fluff it all together. Now, I already added on my extra tail pieces, which was pretty easy. All I did was cut some extra ribbon and then gathered it at the top and tied it up with that extra wire that I had in the back. I actually put 4 on there, as you can see, but I ended up taking off one of the orange ones because I felt it was too heavy on the side, because I want my bow to come off to the side. Now I'm taking some wired jute from Dollar Tree and I'm making a loop, and I'm wrapping around the excess of it around the base of it so it's strong enough to hold this ribbon. However, I'm going to hang my sign by the jute that's on the sign. So I wanted this to hang independently because you couldn't really glue it to the sign without covering up too much of the pumpkin or making it too heavy for the jute. And this is what it looks like. I hung the sign on the wall, and then I hung the bow on the wall. And now moving on to our last project, we're going to use the thankful word that's left on our mat. We're going to leave it on the mat until I need it here, and then we're going to use some other items. I have a 1x2 piece of scrap wood that I had from a previous project. We're going to use some of the wood stems that are birch from Dollar Tree. I have Waverly antique wax and some apple barrel paints in the color Spice Carrot and Flamingo Red. I have some of these little shiny adornments that have leaves in it, and some of this green garland from Walmart, and I also have some berry garland from the Dollar Tree. So first of all, I'm taking the antique wax and covering my extra piece of wood here, and then I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Then I'm going to mix in the red and orange paint using double the amount of orange, so I get like a nice burnt orange color, and then I'm going to paint both sides of these wood rounds orange. I didn't do it on camera because who really needs to see that? Then I'm going to take my letters that spell out thankful, and I'm going to glue down the T first. I decided to then glue all of the rounds down to my stem. I'm going to turn it over sideways here so you can see after I get it all glued down, and then I'm going to put the rest of the letters on so that they are even. I started to do it before that, but then I realized they look wonky if I put them all on before and not even in a line. So now I'm just using a little Gorilla Hot Glue with my Ryobi glue gun, and I'm gluing them to the center of each one of these wood rounds. Can you guess what I'm making? I'm making little pumpkins. So I'm going to take these stems, just branches from my yard, and cut them down in order to make the top stems of each pumpkin. And they're all going to be different because pumpkins are all different, just like all of the little wood rounds are different. And I'm just going to use a touch of hot glue to glue each one of these on. I really love how this project is turning out, and I think it's going to be really, really cute, something that you can sit up on your mantle or put out for the holiday season. So this is what it looks like so far. Then I decided I'm going to use some of these little metallic leaves. I have maple leaves in red and in gold and kind of a bronzy color. So I'm just going to mix them up, and next to some of the stems I'm going to put either 1 or 2 leaves, mixing the colors up. There's no rhyme or reason to this. You can do it any kind of way you like. You can even put green leaves up there instead, but I think it turned out really nice. Next, then I'm going to use some of this greenery garland that I got from Walmart. I'm just going to cut off some small sections and place them in between where the wood rounds meet, and I'm going to do it every other one. I think this gives it the appearance that the pumpkins are actually sitting on the ground and they're growing on the vine. And then next I'm going to take some berry garland from Dollar Tree. It's the one with the orange and the burgundy kind of berries on it. I'm going to put these in little curls and then place it in all of the spaces that I skipped. And this is what it looks like, and I am in love with it. I think it is a perfect piece to set either up on your mantle, or you can use it for home decor anywhere in your house. You guys know that I'm extra. I say it all the time, but I think this is just the right amount for this piece, and I'm in love with it. So that's it for this video. I want to thank Cricut again for sponsoring this video. I will link their website down below. Make sure you go over and check them out and look at all of their new cutting machines. I use the Cricut Maker 3 for this, but they also have the Cricut Explore 3. Go over there and see which machine is right for you. I want to thank you guys also for watching, liking, and always sharing my content. And if you aren't a subscriber here, I don't know why not. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us for a while. We have a lot of fun here, and we make a lot of cool things like these here. Also, comment down below. Let me know which one of these projects was your favorite. I normally can pick a favorite, but these last couple of videos that I've done, I love all of my projects. If I have to say, it's probably this one right here with the pumpkin on the wood round because I love my bow. But I don't know, I really love the other sign and this as well. So that is it, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye, loves.